Guys, Kenwood Sports, man. I'm back with another one, man. Back with another video for y'all. I want to talk about this college football quarterback draft coming up this season, man. The 2025 NFL draft is quickly approaching. 2025 is approaching. Happy New Year, by the way, to everybody. Okay, we 2 days away from the new year, December 30th. All right, but I'm going to get into this conversation for a minute because there's been a lot of talk about who's going to be the #1 pick, who's the best quarterback in this draft. I got my thoughts on it, and I want to speak to y'all about that as well. But before I do, y'all already know I got the best sports channel on YouTube. Ain't nothing changed, all right? Look, if you're watching this video, like this video, subscribe to my channel. If you haven't subscribed, if you want to hear some good sports talk, this is the channel that you want to be on, okay? 2025 is quickly approaching. We got some more changes, things that we're going to add to the channel, make it better, all that, okay? So leave me a comment, let me know what you think. Also, hit that notification bell so you'll know every time I drop a video, all right? But this quarterback draft, man, the #1 pick. But before I get into that, let me say this. Week 17, crazy week, okay? The New York Giants, I believe they moved from the #1 pick, and I think it might be the Patriots right now who's going for the #1 pick. They got Drake May, who they took last season for this year's draft. They took Drake May, okay? I believed in Drake May coming out of college. He played at North Carolina. I thought he was a good quarterback at North Carolina. I thought it would transfer. He'd be a good quarterback at the Patriots. They got a first-year coach at Gerard Mayo. I'm not sure if he's the right coach for this team. I would like to see him be successful as a head coach, but time will tell. They had a bad year this year. Drake May, he looked okay, all right? But besides all that, the Patriots may be the #1 pick. I don't know if they're going for a quarterback or not. That's my point. But the New York Giants, even if they did have the #1 pick, I've been hearing a whole lot of talk about Shedeur Sanders being a #1 pick, and I couldn't disagree more, okay? The top quarterbacks this year in the draft, well, as far as Mel Kiper, I'm going to go by Mel Kiper's words and what I've been hearing from all these different sports outlets, okay? They say Shedeur Sanders. Somebody got to tell me why they think Shedeur Sanders should be the #1 pick. Y'all get in the comments and let me know, because I don't think he should even be in the top 10 picks, okay? And I don't hold nothing back. I don't care who your daddy is. I told y'all that about LeBron and Bronny. I like Dion Sanders the same way I like LeBron James. I might like Dion more from what he did on his time on the football field and on the baseball diamond, okay? I grew up watching him. I always liked the way he played with the charisma, but as a coach, I feel like he's talking too much, okay? You won 4 games last year. You came out and beat TCU. You only win 4 games. Do a #1 pick in the draft ever win 4 games and then come back the next year and you lose 4 games, but you win 9, okay? That's good. You won more games than you did last year, but you only lost 4. You didn't beat the teams that you should have beat. You lost to Nebraska, unranked team, who probably ended up with only 6 or 7 wins. You lost to Kansas, who's not even a football school. You lost to BYU. I took BYU in that game, okay? Shedeur Sanders is not a bad guy. I don't believe he's a bad guy. I don't like what he does on the football field as far as holding on to the ball so long. And he takes a lot of sacks. He runs himself into sacks, okay? The guy probably doesn't even have 100 total yards. I told y'all this before in another video. These days in the NFL, teams are looking for mobile quarterbacks who can get out of the pocket, who can escape, okay? There are more athletic guys from the defensive line these days, okay? And if you think those guys are moving fast in the college football, BYU sacked this guy 7 times. BYU was getting in the backfield and putting Shedeur Sanders on the turf because he was holding on to the ball too long and running himself in the sacks like he's done all year. And you start to hear this talk about the offensive line not being what they're supposed to be, okay? Listen, he has a high percentage, a high completion percentage, a very high completion percentage. That's what I do like about him. I like his size, okay? And I believe he's a very coachable guy, coming from being a coach's kid, a very coachable guy. Somebody like Jaylen Herz, his dad was his coach, and he coached up, just like Coach Prime coached up Shedeur Sanders. I think he can be a better quarterback than what he is right now, but I definitely don't see him being a top 10 pick. And if you go to the New York Giants as a number 1 pick, I feel like that'll be the biggest mistake in the draft in 2025, okay? Because they're not doing good with the quarterbacks that they have now, that they've had in recent years. I can't remember. Eli Manning wasn't even that great of a quarterback to me. They had great running game. They had great defense with Barber, and they had Michael Strahan, Justin Tucker, Jesse Armstead. All those guys, when they won a Super Bowl, I can go on and on about the defense of the New York Giants they had throughout the years when they were really playing good football and winning those Super Bowls, beating Tom Brady. All right? But they say Shedeur Sanders is the number 1 quarterback. They say Cam Ward should be number 2. Let me talk about Cam Ward for a second. Cam Ward just broke the record. He just broke the record for Division I NCAA football passing touchdowns. I salute you for that. That was a great record to break. He's done well. I like what he did at Washington. He came over to Miami and continued his success. One thing that I did not like was him starting the game on this past weekend and then not completing the game and his team losing it. You come out there, you break the record, you get your team a lead, your team follows that up with a loss by 2 or 3 points, and you didn't finish the game. I feel like you should, whatever you start, you should finish. You go out there in the game with your team, and I feel like you left your team out there to dry, man. And I feel like the scouts and the team's gonna look at that and look at you crazy about that situation specifically, okay? I know I like his talent on the football field. I feel like with the right coaching, he can be a better quarterback also. The reason why I talk about these quarterbacks like I do, because I've seen so many guys that are great in college. I'm talking about putting up big astronomical numbers. Guys like Harrell, the most prolific passer from Texas Tech that came out of college. I thought he was going to be amazing in the NFL. You had guys, of course you had Heisman winners like Tim Tebow. You had guys like Johnny Manziel. Those guys are a lot of gadgety to me, a gadget guy, even though they're quarterbacks. You don't usually hear that word describing a quarterback. But those guys were guys that could run all type of plays, get away from pressure. I didn't ever think that it was going to be excellent in college, in the NFL, but they were great in college. I'm just using that as the example that guys can be great in college and still not do nothing in the NFL, okay? But as far as Cam Ward goes, I would like to see him be a good quarterback in the NFL, as well as Shedeur Sanders. But I just don't see it with Shedeur. I don't see him being a difference maker because he wasn't that much of a difference maker with the Colorado Buffaloes, okay? Travis Hunter. If I'm going to talk about a number 1 pick in this draft, I'm going for Travis Hunter, man. And if I'm going for a quarterback, I like Jackson Dart out of Ole Miss. He got a game coming up in this bowl game coming up on January 2nd. If y'all want to check him out, check him out. If you hadn't watched him, he led the SEC in passing. He also can run. He ran for over 400 yards. That's not their game, but he can get out of the pocket. He averaged over 5 or 6 yards a carry or something like that. Maybe even just over 4 yards a carry, if I'm not mistaken. But Jackson Dart, I like his style. I think he's a good coachable quarterback, even though he's been coached by Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin let guys be who they are. That's what I like about Lane Kiffin. But I'm not going to go off into a rant about Lane Kiffin. He put Jackson Dart in a position to be successful. They lost some games that they shouldn't have lost this year. Lost to LSU in overtime, lost to Florida, and they lost to Kentucky. Okay? But Dillon Gabriel, Oregon quarterback. I love Oregon quarterback Dillon Gabriel. He came from Oklahoma Sooners. He teamed up with Dan Lanning after Bo Nix left for the NFL. They're undefeated right now. They're playing Ohio State coming up, I believe, in the next couple of days. That's going to be a game to watch. If you want to see Dillon Gabriel, check him out in that game against Ohio State. I expect Oregon to win that game. Dillon Gabriel, prototypical size. I like what he's done. Like I said, they hadn't lost a game this year. I feel like him and Jackson Dart should be probably the top quarterbacks coming out of this draft. That's my opinion. Quinn Ewers out of Texas, Carson Beck out of Georgia. Those were also other guys that were named as far as being some of the top quarterbacks. I don't like Carson Beck. I don't like Quinn Ewers. Quinn Ewers, I don't know what to say about Quinn Ewers. I don't know what to make of him, okay? But Carson Beck, he's a product of that Georgia system and Kirby Smart. We all know they got 5 stars, 4 stars everywhere on the field. We know they're known for their run game and their defense. This guy told the world that he don't even watch football like that. I'm off you once you make a statement like that. If you gonna be a quarterback, you gotta love the game. The quarterbacks that I know of, they can't keep their eyes off the football game, okay? They want to watch football every time it's on. They want to see film every time it's on. They want to see where they can get better at. They want to look at their opponents and see things that they hadn't seen